Is this thing on?
All right, let's get this show on the road.
Okay. The Coffee and Carving Show. Episode
Oh, I don't even know.
85?
Sure,
Yeah.
we'll
That
call it
seems
85.
right. Ahoy, ahoy.
Welcome,
Ahoy,
everybody. We are back
Yes.
for another week. So
Yes.
the problem is that we recorded pretty late in the week last week. So it's only been, honestly, about 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you been up to?
That's why I felt like I got so much done last episode.
Right?
Yeah.
No,
Well,
before we want to hear from you first, our priority is to thank those who bought us coffee.
there you go.
So
Paid for these
Virginia,
coffee.
Oren, and Mr. Anonymous, thank you for the coffees this week.
Or Mrs. Anonymous.
Greatly appreciated.
Yes. Muchas gracias. We were at Tim Hortons yesterday, my buddy Zach and I. We're becoming old men. It was actually Sunday, 2 days ago. We were working out before church. We went to Tim Hortons to get coffee and breakfast. And we sat down in Tim Hortons drinking coffee with our little breakfast next to a couple of old men. And we just looked at each other and we said, we're getting old. This is something old people do. Get up before church, get breakfast at Tim Hortons. I mean, we had a whole day before everyone was getting up for church. And when we went up to order, this lady who's really just, I don't know, she was a high energy old woman. And she was, I don't want to say, she definitely was from the Detroit area. I'll say that. And she was really excited about the egg bites that we had just ordered. And we were asking her, tell us more about these egg bites. And she said, well, I'll tell you what, when they're cooked right, they are muchas gracias. Mwah. And we were like, neither of us said anything. We didn't look at each other, but maybe a day later, he texted me. He said, I want to go back and order those egg bites so I can hear that woman say, muchas gracias.
Well, since we're going way off early, I will tell you that if you search Tim Hortons egg bite recipe, Sophie makes them all the time, and she'll make like a dozen or two and keep them in the fridge, and you just pop them in the just warm them up when you want them.
Wow.
Always available.
Ooh. I got to try that.
Yeah, they're great. If you got a bun, just put a bun and squish it in the bun.
Ooh. I was talking to Annalise about that, saying that there has to be a way. They're just so expensive, you know?
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's just an egg and some cheese and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and a little muffin tin, right?
Yeah. So
we'll have to do that because they're handy to have. So what have you been up to, Doge?
Can't have too many egg bites.
No, never.
Is that a thing?
Not a thing.
What I've been up to, not much, honest to goodness. I like I said, I got a lot of family stuff going on, and on both sides. So total different reasons, but I'm also still fixing my carving room up to make it a spare bedroom. And the time crunch is on. My in-laws are almost on their way here, and have a spare bedroom. But again, I must reiterate, I gave all of the kids that grew up in this house crap every time they put a nail or a poster on the wall. And I, by far, am the greatest offender in the history of my housing. That carving room was a disaster. Yeah. There wasn't 6 inches without a patch. And if you remember my walls, like everything was just solid carvings everywhere. And shelves and stuff screwed to the walls, and what a mess. But anyway, the worst is over. Now it's just furnishing. So
yeah, that's got to feel good.
It does, but I mean, I'm never going to go up there again.
Right. Yeah.
Like I don't even go up the stairs.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think we spend more time in our shops than we probably do anywhere else, right?
Yeah, there's many more areas of the house that are more pressing to work on if I had the time. But anyway,
Right.
when it's done, and then I don't have to look back. So
True that.
there's that, and then yeah, again dealing with my father, and no, it's just been busy. Like I said, it's been a short catch up. So
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Absolutely zero carving other than looking at books and stressing out about my next video, which I have since given myself permission to breathe and not think about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Because it's ridiculous. I shouldn't. My thoughts should not be on making videos and stuff. So yeah. I would like to start a project though, just for me, to keep me happy. Yeah. Something like no pictures, no video, just do something for me and make something in my spare time. So.
I like that idea.
Well, you know, people always say some of these carvings I have, the carvings that I'm proud of, like the bigger, more elaborate ones, I'm saying, not the little simple ones, but the more elaborate, they're ones I could never make a video on regardless.
Mm.
Because I'm working my way through the process. It's not like I'm saying, and now we're going to do this, and then this, and this, and then I always do this, and then step back and look at it, touch it up, and you know what I mean? Like it's so that's what I want to do, something for me, and you can't film that if you're just blundering your way through.
Not well,
and I don't need to. That's the other thing, is that everything doesn't have to be on film. I need to get the joy back in and top up that shelf of happiness for carving instead of resenting. You don't want to make a video in resentment mode, like stupid carvings.
Right. It's easy to do. It's easy to do when I've noticed it happens to me only when I'm whittling. Like if I'm working on a bark carving or if I'm working on a basket carving and I'm making a film about it and the film is incidental, it's not for YouTube. It's like, oh, I'm filming this project.
Yeah.
I have so much more fun.
Yeah.
Than if I'm making a project like a tutorial for YouTube. I almost always have a moment in the project, not the whole project, but like a brief moment in the project where I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this right now. I'm not having fun anymore. You know, I don't know what
it's. No, it's stressful.
Yeah.
You put a camera on yourself to perform something, you know, I mean, if you totally screwed up, you just don't post it. But otherwise, it's still stressful to have the camera. But anyway, that's besides the point. But yeah, it was, that's all I got to say about that. But what I was going to say was, and then I opened I should make lists of the requests. Remember last week, thanks in advance. I have all these requests. Do this, do that, do this. I'm like, I'm not your monkey. So anyway.
You just look like one. It doesn't.
It just look like one. That's right. Planet of the Apes.
Right.
But
yeah.
That took a turn.
It did. Yeah. No, I get it. I think.
And I'm not saying that to all the wonderful viewers. I'm just saying that it's a constant process to get yourself into the video making and you can't all be about somebody else. You got to make time for yourself. Yeah.
And I would say the biggest difference between you and I is, for me, it's more of a process, and for you, it's a process.
Yeah,
is the biggest difference. But
what have you been up to?
Yeah, well, again, it's been like 4 days since we last did this, so
yeah, that's right.
But the weekend was a big part of that, and over the weekend, I was putzing around in here for a few hours in the morning on Saturday. And I managed to get this Lotus Planter finished up for the most part.
Oh, yes.
But, you know, go ahead.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. And one thing I learned, though, from doing it is that you don't want to forget about kneading your clay. I don't know what the proper term is for it, but you need to work out all the bubbles. Yeah, because I ran into so many little bubbles because I neglected to do that. And wedging, I forgot to wedge it.
So for the folks at home, we can see each other, but it's blurry, eh?
Yeah.
It's not crystal clear. But
Right.
I was going to make a comment on that because I'll see it when we rewatch the video when it's done. But I was going to say you could put artichoke dip in your artichoke.
Yeah, I could see that. It does kind of look like an
I
open
see this
artichoke.
like a blurry artichoke looking thing.
Oh, I love artichokes. Those are my favorite. Artichoke dip, artichokes plain.
Disgusting.
So good. So yeah, so it's been that. The planner. I've been, I was happy that yesterday I sold the final of the another carving on the drop from the drop, and
Did you?
that carving was the last of the non-gilded. So there's 2 carvings left.
Is that the one lit?
No, it's the profile. It's the Green Man profile.
Okay.
And it's a sign to me that I might even, Annalise and I were talking about it, and I might even just take the gold finish off of those carvings because I don't see that people want them.
I hear you, but when you see them in person, they're amazing. The only thing I said to you might want to try, is now that there's gold like that, if you could get some kind of an antiquing medium, to sit in the cracks,
right?
That might give it like an old gold look.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, but I'm happy. I mean, I'm kind of bummed that I posted those because I would have been able to say that I sold out, right? Except for those 2 carvings that no one wants.
Yeah, but they're beautiful.
Thank you. So
I know I get, but I do understand the consumer. Like, this is a gamble. We're not like if you don't see them in person.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's good. I'm happy about that, and I really am motivated. I made a little a video yesterday about kind of the goings on of the shop, and in it I talked about how I don't feel like I'll have time to do the drop this month, but I talked to Annalise about it, and she would help me. She said she'd help me with it, so I think I'll make that post, and so I will do the drop, and I'll also be probably just releasing last time. It's just going to be a few carvings. So, but anyway, it's the reason being I've got big commissions, and the one I'm working on now, the deer, big for me at least. For a chainsaw carver, it's not big at all, but I'm used to smaller, things like you are, and I'm doing this buck, right? And we've been talking about it forever, and I got pretty far along with it, and I realized after I showed up to my parents' house yesterday that it was unsavable. Like the progress that I had made on that thing was pretty great. Like I had the face shape coming in, the neck was starting to narrow down, but what I did wrong in the glue up was I didn't allow enough room for the body. I had the neck too distant from the body, and so I could have shortened the neck, but then the neck would have been out of proportion. And so, and I had done a bunch of little things to patch it up and try my best to fix it. And it just started looking piecemeal together. And I didn't want to use a bunch of paint to cover all the seams and everything. I could just see it becoming more and more, further and further away from like organic and natural looking, which is the whole point of that project, was for it to look natural and organic, and almost as though the deer is growing out of a branch, like a branch from the tree. That's the idea, where the bark is coming along on the outside and kind of covering the fur and into the fur, like converging with the deer. And that comes from this idea that deer are like the silent ghosts of the forest, and so this kind of eerie emerging from the log would have been really neat. And so I just realized, I'm not going to be able to pull that out of the tree. It's just not going to happen. So the existing pieces that is. And so I was looking around my dad's yard, just kind of like, oh man, what am I going to do? I see a massive oak log. I mean, it's like 25 or maybe 26 inches in diameter, and red oak. And I asked him about it, and he said, "You want it?" I said, "Yeah." It's 26 by, say, 3.5 feet.
Yeah.
So I just that evening, after spending some time on that piece, the original block in, I just started cutting into that big log. I moved the log over where the deer was. I set it on the ground, the deer mount that is, and I just did my best to kind of get a block in. So today I've just been blocking in the red oak, which, it's a good lesson in just choosing the right materials off the gate, and I love red oak for deer because they emulate the red, the color tone of the wood just emulates.
So you
Fur.
scrapped the basswood one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That would have fit in good with last week's theme.
Right? Yeah. When things don't go your way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
and then, at first I was just like really upset. And then after a minute or two of thinking about it, I just settled into the fact that most sculptors, they do a model mock-up first. Some of them do that model mock-up in full scale, like to the scale of the original project that they work on. And then they do a plaster mold of that. And then they use the mold as the reference. All of these steps go into the process before you get to the carving itself. And so when you just think about it through the lens of a sculptor, you go, who cares what I'm getting paid an hour? I'm getting paid to learn. And I'm enjoying myself. It's all a frame of mind.
You're getting paid for your university course.
Yep.
But I tell you one thing, anytime I've done things twice, second one's always better.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I'm excited about it. I love that it's all one piece, except for the antlers. I was going to glue on the ears. The neck was separate from the body, separate from the head, all different wood chunks. And this one giant red oak log with ears and all, everything one piece.
So let's talk about that. Then how did you come to the basswood glue up idea to start with instead of the log?
I talked to Fred, to Codulo, and he suggested that it would be a lot easier to move around and be easier to hang if it was made of basswood and hollow. And so that's what I did. I made a hollow form out of basswood. And it was just a pleasure to carve. I mean, basswood is basswood.
Yeah.
It's to carve. And so that's the main reason. I had tons of basswood, tons of big 4x4, 6x6 blocks of basswood everywhere. And I figured might as well use it. So it was given to me. It was a gift. I didn't pay for the wood. I didn't lose anything on it. Anyway, so, I like the idea of the glue up. Parts of me like that idea, since it's being painted anyway, who cares about the seams?
Yeah.
But, all in all, I think it's definitely better if you can do it out of one solid piece.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. And Abby.
Dude, I don't even want to tease you about that.
I
don't even want to tease you about that.
I
was teasing you all summer about when you're going to start it. Now I think, oh.
No. Everyone I've told that to seems more bummed than I am. I genuinely, I don't feel bummed about it. I feel excited because
I get it.
You know what I mean? You just feel so anxious trying to make something work that isn't working.
It's the same thing as I told you before. My tutorials take so long because I carve 8 of them first before I can say, now I'm going to cut here, 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 and here, like that,
Yep.
And, so and whatever you do now, it's going to go faster.
Yep.
So you'll be right back to the same shape or the right shape twice as fast.
Yeah. Give me a couple days, and I think I'll have a decent rough in. So that's good. And so in conclusion, we got a lot of questions to answer, so I'm not going to make this.
Yeah, that's right.
But I have been for the past year planning on starting a school for kids, a school of sculpture for kids, where I walk them through the basics of working with like softer mediums, maybe some carving involved. So like Fimo clay, you can bake it. It's easy to carve. Stuff that, the everyday parent is going to have access to. And, an 8-year-old kid is not going to be playing with a razor sharp knife or gouge necessarily, right? They might, but so working on kind of like building stages, the stuff that I did when I was a kid. But, I never really had a coach. So I'm going to work on that. I wanted to have that all ready to launch by the beginning of the year in terms of having the content, and totally left it behind, totally got occupied with the fundamentals of wood carving school, totally pushed it aside saying, nah, I need to focus on the school right now. And it was today that my brother reminded me about that. And I was like, I'm never going to do that if I don't just start now. So I got I purchased some clay, some kids' Fimo clay, and I'm going to start brainstorming, kind of like you are with your YouTube projects, like doing some mock-up ideas before I present them for the
That's such a fun idea. So they have a totally separate. You've never told me about this. This is really exciting.
Thank
so
you.
That's it. That's so good.
Thanks.
In fact, even you could get the homeschoolers and people in, like as an art course or class.
Exactly. Yep, you got it. That's exactly the goal. Yep.
What are you gonna call it? Kids Sculpt?
Kids Sculpt? I don't know. Fundamentals of sculpting for kids. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what I'll call it? But it'll probably be. I don't know what I'll do as far as like the website. If it'll be, I'm sure it'll be linked to mine for sure. But I think I'll have to do a different platform and all that stuff. So
yeah. Do you ever play with polymer clay?
Polymer, isn't that what Fimo is? The bakeable clay?
It comes in different colors, so I'm not sure.
Yep.
Sophie would know. She's got all that stuff.
Yeah. I've played. I haven't played with it since I was 10 years old. So
they make so much fun things with that stuff.
Right?
It's so fun. Yeah. I could get lost in that too.
Oh, totally. Right.
I remember when I met Sophie, she was making like pen wraps.
Huh.
So she would knead it out really thin and then layer it like a jelly roll and then cut it this way and then put it this way and then wrap so very like mosaic like on
almost like a grip. Yeah.
But the whole thing is like a mosaic of very thin polymer clay.
That's cool.
With little critters and little fun things. They're cute. And you know what? And even I still look at those things too for even carving ideas.
Yeah, totally.
They're great.
Right.
Great study tools. So
yeah, no doubt. So I mean,
I had one other thing I wanted to mention to you.
Please.
I was going to talk about carving tools really quickly. Was that I can't decide who I am or what I want to do, especially on YouTube. Like, I have always appreciated flat, plain, knife-only carving. And then I was going to make a video talking about tools, and I'm still not even sure of the direction if I want to add more tools or not. But my problem is that like these little palm tools, I don't like them. I've never taken well to palm tools. Even the little flex got exchange a bit ones, they don't fit well in my hand. So I always opted out for these mid-size file tools.
Right.
They got big paws, right?
Right.
And but then when I started doing the 1x1, this seemed like this is a bit of overkill, right?
Right. So
I wanted a smaller tool, but I had bought some extra mid-sized tools so that this full set of these mid-sized tools can stay with the larger carvings. And I had, I think, 6 or 8 of these, just the basics that I would need for carving. And I said, I was going to go to the carving store and see what they had. And I said, I'm not buying any more tools.
Right.
You know? So I went and I cut down.
You had just gotten a set of the palms.
Yeah. So I went and I cut down my extra mid-sized tools, and I love them.
Love that.
I absolutely love them. They're the perfect little.
Wait, put the other one towards your face, like in front of your face. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
So all my extra ones, I just kind of.
Look how much cooler they look in the palm tools side by side too. Doesn't they look neat? And the way you color coded the bases of them. Yeah, that's really sweet.
See, red goes with red. These are V tools.
Okay.
Green's 11, orange is 9, blue is 5.
Wow.
Once it's in your head, you don't even have to look at the tips. You just grab the color, right?
Wow.
But anyway, I just love this so much more.
Yeah.
So I suppose I could have reshaped all the things, but I had them, and I'm just so happy with that. So that's what I did. I cut down a handful of these tools just for my whittling.
Yeah. So, I love that. Yeah. Easier to control, better than the palm tool. Because who wants a big round ball in their hands when they're carving? It doesn't feel comfy.
I see people, maybe I don't know how to use a palm tool.
Yeah, could be.
You know, when I watch like someone like Blake Lunsford, he holds them like this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like, I don't even know how to hold them like that.
Right.
I'm always pushing. Like,
right.
But anyway, to each their own.
Using the wrist instead of using it'd be easier to control.
Yeah. Now the fear I have now is that if I ever use these in a video, it's like, where can I get those?
Right.
I don't want people buying tools to cut them down.
Right.
Most people can make do with I just had them, so I cut them down. So. But,
yeah, I had the same fear in my mind. People seeing that and then running to their benches and cutting all their tools in half.
That'd be so sad. Eh?
It would.
Yeah. And
don't do that.
In the past, like I used to. This was kind of cute too. I used to always the green. I would always paint the tips green, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then this worked out way better because I don't know why I didn't do this before. It's so much neater and cleaner. These little circles where I just gob the paint on and then just roll it on the sander, and it's a perfect little circle. So
yeah,
not that that's critical for your tools, but it's got to be a perfect circle of color.
Right.
But anyway, that's my story. But again, I still lean towards the flat plane carving. And I'll talk about that later when we talk about media. So
yeah, no, I do too. I shouldn't say I lean towards it. I love it. I think it's as far as like whittling goes, I've always been so drawn to the rough soles and the flat plane style, Scandinavian style of carving. It's so efficient and everything has a purpose. Every facet is there for a reason.
Yeah, and the simplicity is not easy.
Mm-mm.
Like it's some people look down on it, that you could put so much more detail into it, but no. But we'll talk about that later. We have questions. We talked about this being we skipped the Q&A last week. Mm-hmm. So let's just dive right into some questions here. And absolutely. I think we don't encourage this, but I'm going to I'll do questions from our comments on YouTube, but we would prefer you guys to email questions in the future to the coffee and carving, or not the coffee, just coffee and carving show at gmail.com. Yep. And that way we have a good, I won't be going to the comments in the future. So that way we have a good library of questions that we can answer right through the email. So, but I'll start off right away with Terry Phillipson wants to know, have either of you used a Dremel and what do you think? Simple question.
Yeah, I think I like it. I don't use it most of the time, but yeah, it's good. It's good to get you out of certain situations that you need. That if you're power carving a bunch.
I have a Dremel, and I kind of hate it.
Yeah,
I don't ever want to carve with it. Do you know what I use that Dremel for the most?
What's that?
The back of my bark carvings.
Yeah.
I stick it up and I go across so that I can make that little lip to hang on.
Yep. Exactly.
That's all I use that Dremel for. And you know what? If I wasn't so lazy, I could do the same thing with a bigger number 11 and just undercut it.
Were you the one who showed me that? I feel like you might have. Or did I show you that? That undercut. Because I've been using that and that's super solid.
Yeah. No, I like it. You can't. The trick is you still gotta, don't leave that wire edge on there.
Right.
Because if it hangs just on a thin edge, it will break.
Yeah.
Especially on the bark. So you got to have a strong edge. So flatten out that sharp edge.
Yeah. Or you can glue. You can strengthen it up by using a thin super glue along the edge. That's what I'll do to strengthen the edge.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Or just take a little metal bracket and then carve it in. Right.
Yeah, so you could do that too if you were.
The point of all that though is to say that nobody wants your carvings hanging off a wall.
Right.
You want that carving against the stand up the way it was made.
Exactly.
You don't want a bracket on the back so that it hangs off the wall.
Yep. Exactly.
At least to me. So
yeah. Yeah, I would say I'm not quite as averse to it as Doug, but I do I use it when I have to. I mean, I very, very seldom am using a Dremel. The only time I'm using it is when I'm doing a big old chainsaw carving and I need to I need to like clean something up really quickly or undercut, or I'm already in power carving mode in my brain, and I'll do that with the Dremel. I'll do some things, details.
One time when I first got it, I it's on a video somewhere where I used the Dremel to undercut something. Maybe it was a green man or something, or one of them, maybe a monster. I used it to undercut, and then I got not flack, but why would you do all that carving and then pull out? You could have done that. I said, yeah, I could have. It didn't make sense. I just wanted to use it.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. No, it's a fun toy to have, and it can be nice. The thing about the Dremel that's cool is you can push it in any direction into the wood.
yeah.
There's no consideration for the grain. So in years past, I've used it. When I was a teenager, I used the Dremel a lot, undercutting leaves and feathers, and and making things stand out.
But even still, I am such a rammy jerk. Like I always, I still force it.
You are kind of a rammy jerk. I agree
I
with
am.
that.
I break everything, and I'm always rammy. So if it's not my own manpower to
Right.
control the power, I'll take that drone and just try and push it through something when it's
Yeah.
I don't have the patience to do softly.
Yeah.
So I don't like it. That's my
You've got
bottom
to have
line.
carving. You know what? Carving of all of the trades, not of all the trades, of all the art forms that I've tried, requires so much patience. If you don't have patience, uh, it will actually take you longer, right? That's what happened with the deer, right? That I got a little bit too quick in the glue up, and I tried to cut corners, and it made it so that I have to spend more time. These mistakes that I've made in the past always have shown me that when you try to cut corners, when you try to take the shortcuts, you will always pay for it in the end. You'll
Mm-hmm.
never have as good a result, and it's the case in carving too. If you're trying to get there, too quickly, that it doesn't usually pan out.
Like
So
sometimes I think, well, I don't need to put a mark on there or whatever. And then if you're in a hurry, like one cut,
yeah,
if you're just in a hurry, like I'm going to get this head blocked out in this little guy, and
yeah,
one wrong cut
yep,
either will change the whole face or scrap the project.
yeah.
So, like you have to be, you know, right on
Oh,
it.
yeah. No, there's no room for error in carving. If you remove something that shouldn't be removed, you're gonna have a darn time trying to get that back normal.
Yeah, everything's savable mostly if you want to take the time. But on these
Everything
little,
that's what they say, right? It's like everything is savable some of the time.
there you go.
That's what we'll call this. That's the title.
Yeah.
Everything is savable some of the time. But yeah. So anyway, are there more comment questions?
Well, I'm going to jump in with Mr. McMahon. We had a super chat also, so big thanks for that. We don't see them very often.
Super thanks?
Super thanks. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. You go ahead. We can go jump back and forth.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So we've got Carving Children. This is from Michael Smith. He asked if we could talk briefly about resources related to carving children versus adults. Thanks. Love the show, Mike. Thanks in advance, actually, is what he says there.
Yeah, a lot of guys saw that. That's a little.
He doesn't say that, but I would say, I to be fair, or as Doug says, to be fair, I do not carve a lot of kids. I don't carve kids, but on the surface, any of the information that you're going to get from a drawing book of drawing kids. I have a book about portrait drawing that I think covers it, and there's some great resources online in terms of drawing books. They're going to give you the differences in symmetry. But from my memory of that book, they would talk about how a lot more of the information is on the lower half of the face, right? So the eyes, the nose, much shorter, the eyes much more centered, lower on the head. Everything's more compressed down low, and the forehead's larger. That's my
I
recollection.
think the shape even changes, doesn't it? It goes kind of more ballish to as you get older. You get
It's just it can be more squatty.
Yeah.
So, but that's a good thing to work on. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Care children.
Right. We hate kids. Thanks, guys, for the answer of the cottonwood bark issue. But here's the thing: I'm living in the Netherlands, and we can't buy such wood. Okay, a wood question. The bobbin. Oh, okay. They're saying the bobbins, are they for sale? So Peter wants to know if he can get your bobbins.
No, he can't. Sorry, Peter. No, I'm not selling anything. Right.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to know if you can buy them in general.
Oh, well, they're antiques, so you have to search them out. But you
eBay,
can also,
no?
What's that?
Maybe eBay would be a good option.
For sure, eBay, Etsy has some too. But you shouldn't have to pay as much as they're asking. If you look for the right spot, you shouldn't pay more than 50 cents to $1. Mm-hmm. But also, again, secondhand information. But I was told that you can buy basswood thread spools that are made just for carving. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know where, but I was told that. So.
Yep.
Oh, did you know that we should have? We need to buy some wireless Bluetooth headsets.
Who said that?
I don't know. Penguin Silence says you guys really need wireless Bluetooth headsets. So.
Okay. Well, I have a PO box.
I was just gonna say that.
I'll get that out for folks if they're interested. All
right. Let's.
I got some.
Okay.
This is Ronnie about your thread tool. I'm not sure if this is a question. He says, when I saw the spool tool on episode 82, I knew what it was from seeing it on an IWC post. I made one and set out to find spools. I find that most of mine come from estate sales. Hey, he answers the question. There you go. Older people that used to sew. Your washers seem a little big. Mine are about 3/4 inch or 20 mil in diameter, which works for the small spools. Looking forward to your video. Really like the show. Like the club I'm in. Talk is all over the place. Thanks.
Yeah, it sure is.
It really is. Yeah.
No, those first washers were way too big, but I remade it. Right. I think I showed that I made it with smaller washers. I see here also that we missed a coffee. Shawnee bought us some coffees. So thanks, Shawnee.
Appreciate that. All right. So this is from Patrick. He enjoyed the last episode of the discussion on facial proportions. And that was 2 episodes ago now. But what if you would add a short or long segment to the podcast where you explain carving things related in theory? So he wants a dedicated section where we talk about technical stuff. Thoughts on that, Doge? Or Doge?
Carving related things in theory. I am too stupid for this.
Not true.
100% true. I don't know. I'm a hobby whittler myself. So what does the artist say?
I think it'd be fun.
I say boring.
We could talk about it, but another question from Pat is that he says a lot of people think they need talent to carve beautiful things, and they give up before they even start. How much of it really is talent, though, and how much of it is practice, skill, and experience?
I made a video one time about what happens if you don't give up. And in it, I was talking about piano lessons and how when I was a kid, every day I got off the bus and my mother made me sit down and half an hour piano lessons. And I could only play the piano by the notes I saw on the book. Mm-hmm. And I also said that my son walked up to a piano and started making noises and then taught himself how to play the piano without a book. So, again, could I play the piano? Yes.
Right.
But he could play the piano without the notes. So I referred to the notes as the plans, the information given, like to copy. Like if someone says, pattern, a carving pattern. So definitely, you don't need skill once you know the depths of things and whatnot.
Yep.
The pattern is made for you. Now, I would say the people who come up with the pattern have a more of an artist's skill, and they're able to draw and think like the pattern.
Right.
So I think anybody can carve for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it takes a special, more artsy fella to come up with. Like, there's some amazing people that make amazing patterns, and I know I can't touch it with a 10-foot pole. So
same. Yeah. Yeah, I do think that some people might have more propensity towards certain types of carving than others. But no, I think anyone can do it for sure. And yeah,
I notice that even when people who use my tutorials, they come up, this is my first carving, and all of a sudden, like 5 carvings later, they've surpassed my ability.
Right.
Because they just have a natural flair, and
Oh yeah.
And like you said before, all these mediums work together. Once you understand even face structure, if you were a clay person and you went to wood carving, you're going to be carving faces a lot faster because you know clay, or you can draw, or so they all kind of tie together.
Yeah, totally. Yep, I agree with that. I don't have much to add.
Okay.
Brian says, Alec and Doug, and thoroughly enjoy the coffee and carving show, as well as your individual channels. I love learning new skills, and both of you are excellent educators. Thank you, Brian. I'm an avid yard sailor, flea market cruiser, and marketplace user. Most of the tools I own have been acquired by these means. One of my latest purchases was a full roll of Swiss-made chisels for $20 US.
I read that and just about choked. I was like,
what a
do you know what a brand new roll of Swiss tools cost?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, untold amount of money, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, into thousands.
A thousand, yeah.
Yeah, depending on how many tools are in the roll. For both of you, what was your favorite or best yard sale find? Doesn't have to be a tool. God bless and take your vitamins. Thank you, Brian.
I did think of that.
Will do, Brian. That's a good reminder. Doug, best sale find.
I'm leaving you. Oh, where did I put it? I had something. Anyway, I found one time, and it was made by Holtz Brooks, which is a sub-tie to Gransfors Brooks, a big curved draw knife.
Wow.
And I got that for, I don't know, it was like $20-$30 or something. And I immediately came home and looked it up, and it was like a $300 tool.
Wow.
Big curve. Now, have I used it since I bought it?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
but I couldn't not buy it.
Yep.
I get more excited by little tiny things.
Yeah, totally. Right.
So little metal toys or something, or little silly things. Yeah. I'm constantly not so much yard sailing as much as antique shops and stuff. Yeah. I always collect little metal, old-fashioned toys and stuff. So, but
I'm trying to stay away from all the yard sales because they get me good, and I'm trying to stay on a budget right now. Frankly,
well, you know what? There's no point, because I'm gathering up things and bringing them to Goodwill now. Right.
Yeah,
because I want to get rid of everything I have.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, I've got a doozy. Are you ready? This one will never be paralleled in my life. I will never see something like this again in my life.
I know this one already. It makes me angry. I'm jealous.
I know. I can't. I'm almost jealous of myself, to be honest, that I had this experience. Like, I wish I could rehab it. I was 19 years old, and my buddy from Minneapolis moved to Michigan. Wow, that was a slip up. Moved to the United States. He was an avid estate sale person. He had the apps on his phone, so he called me, and I'd often, I don't know what it was, but it was like a season of getting friends to tell me about sales. Then I'd go, and it'd be like 2 chisels and a screwdriver, and they'd be like, "Oh, I think there are wood carving tools here," And I'd had 2 or 3 of those that year where I'd gone to these estate sales or garage sales and gotten screwdrivers. So needless to say, this friend hit me up and he said, hey, this coming week, in a couple of days, they're having a sale and there's wood carving tools there. I think it's somebody that does carving. And I think you should show up early. It looks really good. And he sent me a link and I looked through the pictures and I was looking there and I saw what looked like alabaster. And I kept scrolling. You know what? Actually, some of the things on there, it's kind of hard to tell, but I saw like some basswood and it was labeled and some couple knives and things. And I'm like, you know what? There's a bandsaw for sale there. If nothing else, I'll go there and get the bandsaw. So so what ends up happening is I show up about a half hour early per his recommendation. I get there before he does. It's about 7 in the morning and I'm the second person in line. And as this thing starts to get closer to opening, people start piling in behind me. There's a whole line to the end of the driveway of people about to go into this thing. So I'm getting kind of excited. And they let us through the garage. I walk into the garage and there is a Platinum Edition Delta 14-inch bandsaw with a 8-inch riser block on it, all set up for resawing. And I literally lurched for that thing and said claimed, because other people were doing that. They were running over and saying claimed, So I went over, I put my hands on mine until someone came around and put a little sticker on it with my name and phone number. That promptly someone else took off and put their name and phone. No, I'm just kidding. And so I got it. I think it was like, I can't remember, but it was like stupid. I mean, it was like $150 or something, just something utterly ridiculous. It's like a $2,500 saw or something. And so I run into the basement to where all the carving stuff is. And the first thing I see on my left is 2 giant pieces of alabaster, right? I'm like, it's like the really good. It's the calcite alabaster. It's the hard, kind of semi-translucent stuff that you'd make light fixtures with or carve fine sculpture with. So I'm super, super excited. I put that, aside. I claim that. And I'm walking around with these stones. And all of a sudden I walk into this room and it becomes evident that not only was this guy a wood carver, but he was a salesperson for wood carving tools. And he had inventory. Because there were glass cases, basically a showroom, glass cases full of knives, gouges, and chisels throughout the thing. And that guy who was ahead of me was already down there with a bag full of all of the Swiss and all of the German tools that they had. He went through and picked out all of the European tools. And I was beside myself. I have never in my life, up until that point, had a panic attack. And I had a panic attack. And it was because I knew that after I was done buying that bandsaw, I was 19 years old. I only had like $400 or $500 left in my bank account. Yep. My buddy, who by that time had come to the thing late, comes downstairs. He sees him having a panic attack, and he goes, "Dude, you don't understand how this works. Find a bucket and fill it up with tools. They don't know what this stuff is. The people that run this event, they don't know. Just fill it up with tools and make them an offer." So I start piling in. Most of what was left were knives, right? So I've got tons of Murphy knives, tons of just a whole bunch of different knives, a couple of Helvies, tons and tons and tons of I'm forgetting the name right now. This guy, Dave Lyons stuff, and I'm piling up the knives. I'm kind of bummed though at the same time as being super excited because A, I don't know if they're going to take my offer. And B, all I've got is knives. I literally probably have 500 knives, like 400 knives. And I don't know a lot about knives because I'm not a whittler. I just don't know. I know they look pretty decent. So I've got a Tupperware Christmas decoration tub full of knives, right? And I'm carrying this thing around. And I find a guy who's working down there and I say, "Hey, would you take 300 for this?" And because that was most of what I had. And he said, "Yep, just set it down over by the door." I'm like, oh my God. I set it down on the door and I'm kind of trying to make my final rounds before this dweeb with all the European tools. I just want to sock him in the face because he's got thousands of dollars of Swiss made, West German, and 2 cherries, all the good stuff. I can see it. And, I can see him pulling them out. And he's already been down there for a half hour while I'm pining after my bandsaw and my rocks. It's like when you get to, it's like get to the end of the food line, and there's bacon, and you got all this other stuff that you don't want, like Jim Gaffigan says. So I see a box sitting on a table, and it's actually this box. You can't see it. It's past, not this one, but the brown one behind it. And I open one of the drawers. It's on a shelf off to the corner, and it's full of old tools, like old turn of the century, pre-war, pre-Civil War, Civil War, post-Civil War Addison Co. I recognize the tools because I know that Ian Norbury exclusively uses these tools. I've never seen any of these tools before. And I keep pulling the other drawers, and I'm just freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's full. It's like this guy had either pieced this set together to be of the era, or it was something that he bought all together as one lot that was somebody's carving set from 200 years ago. And so I'm gathering the tools, the box, and I'm trying to find the same guy. And I all I have left is $100 in my account. So I go, will you take $100 for this? Knowing he'll say no. And he says, yeah, just throw it on the box. So I'm just completely elated. I take all the tools home. I was known in the wood carving community for a few years. Some of the people that are listening to this will remember this because of how many tools I sold on eBay. Nice. I was like the seller on eBay for a long time of knives because of that one estate sale. So it was stupid. It was stupid lucky.
Well, forget about the tools. I love the chest.
Oh, yeah. Right.
That's an antique in and of itself.
Right.
Is that chest. And since then, I've been looking at chests like I want to buy, the only equivalent is an older, I think they're called Gerstner.
Yeah.
Chests that are made of oak. With the little, I think it's Gerstner, Gerstner. But even the newer ones, I think they have they use some ply. I don't want ply. I want solid wood. So
right.
But
anyway, I'm with you. If I could find more cool tool boxes,
I love them.
It's just so neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is from Mark. Mark says, after watching video 84, episode 84, I thought of a question for each of you. Doug, in your past videos, I noticed that you give names to a few of your caricatures. How many of them have you named, and what are some of the names that you've given them?
I don't actually do that as often as it may appear. I think I have a Jim. I made a Jim because I had to give him a label on his shirt, right? And we called him Woody, like he was my mascot.
Yep.
That was the start of the logo, so we called him Woody. But he's kind of morphed since to the flat cap guy.
Yeah.
He's basically me, right?
Right.
It's kind of the same idea.
Yep.
Okay. So, but yeah, no, I actually don't name too many.
Right.
How about you?
What about oh boy, your first one, your first YouTube video? What was that one?
Oh, that's right, Sycamore Sam.
Yes.
It just worked.
I love that name.
It was Sycamore. It was Sam.
I think about that name. I'm not kidding you. I think about that name at least once or twice a week. I love it.
Do you want to hear something?
What?
I just threw him out last week.
Oh, Doug. What about the history?
I had him outside on the fence.
What about your great grandkids who'll see that video and say it's Doug's first video?
For about 5 years, and then I had him in here, and I took some pictures of him or something. Anyway, he fell down and he got stepped on.
Oh.
And he was already weathered and old, and then he was broken. His legs were broken. I'm like, throw it out.
Nah.
But you name yours?
Yeah, always after the fact, right before I put them on display, and I never know what to name them. I never have a name while I'm very rarely do I have like a name before I finish the carving. I have a hard time with that. I don't know what to name things. It's one thing I'm not good at. So
you just have to ask them before you. Did I ever tell you the story when I went to Alex's house, guys? I went there and I noticed there was like chapstick marks on some of the cute carvings that he had made.
Not a true story.
You don't ask their names before.
You don't ask their names. That was actually a really. I'm gonna edit that part out. That's crazy. This episode may contain graphic content. I'm gonna check yes when I post this one.
Oh.
Alec, what determines the direct? He has a question for me. What determines the direction that your facial carvings are facing? Left, right, forward. Is the decision based on the size and shape of the chunk of cottonwood you're observing? Yeah, very good observation, Mark. That's a very astute observation because, yeah, that is exactly what I'm doing. When I'm carving a piece of wood, I'm always looking to see the shapes where the mass is. Cottonwood bark especially because it's all, every piece is so different. There are cracks and fissures and heavier bits of mass in one corner than the other. And the wood will often determine how I'm going to go about the carving. Sometimes there's more material on one side, or I'd like to utilize a crack or a fissure or something to enhance the design of the piece. And so 100% of the time, the wood has some factor into the design of the piece. Whether I've decided I'm looking for a piece of bark that's going to fit the side profile view, or if I'm going into the piece of wood and then deciding, okay, what can I fit into this? So it's always a consideration. But otherwise, if I want to convey a certain type of emotion in a piece, or I want to make something more interesting, then I will maybe turn the face depending on the story I want to tell. If he's kind of a downcast person, maybe he's heavy browed or furrowed, or she's kind of in thought, you might turn the head downward. If you want to point the face upward, you can close the eyes and create this sort of effect of serenity. There's a lot of different things that you can do by positioning the face that will change and communicate a different story for the carving. So that's that.
Yeah, good question.
It is.
Oren has questions for us, but he also includes some pictures of fantastic bark Santas.
Really nice.
Which
Santas.
actually reminds me so much of what I cut up last week in my garbage can.
Wow, what a compliment. Actually, it is a compliment because you are insane for cutting those up.
The compliment is that this is beautiful. This is what I should have made it look like.
Right, exactly.
That wasn't a diss. They're really nice.
Oren, bud, this looks like a carving I just threw out last week.
I made one just like that, and I cut it up because I hated it.
I cut it in half, and it is.
This is exactly what I was going for, something like that. But
right.
If you don't mind answering the question, what type of lights do you use while carving?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in need of something superior to the lame generic room lamp of mine.
Your room.
For brands, I don't really have a brand, but and I don't really have the perfect scenario either. But I do have a strip light.
Yep.
Right, which is just a LED double strip light, but I have it mounted on wood, probably 3 feet exactly above my desk. So it's quite bright in my hands right here.
Very bright in that shop. Just in general, when you have all the lights up.
Yeah. When I turn all the lights on, but I also have probably 12 of these in this shop.
Yep. In a small space, too.
In a small space. So, but sitting over top of my desk here, it's oodles.
Yep.
But it's not on the ceiling. I have it hanging low, like 3 feet off the desk from where I'm carving. So.
Yep.
How about you?
Yeah. I have a small space, kind of like yours, but maybe even smaller. It's 12 by 16. It is smaller than yours. And so my thing is I have to try and figure out where I'm going to be all the time, and I don't always know where I'll be. Sometimes I'll be working back here. Sometimes I'll be making something over on the bench, over on the other fixture. So what I'm starting to move towards is fixtures that can move to hold the lights. So what I've been doing is I've been getting these kind of cheaper, lower end Amaran. They're made by Amaran. They're a photography and video light company. Amaran. Amaran. Actually, they're made by the company is Aperture. Anyway, I'll just easier to show. So there's one. And what's nice about this is that it's on a post that you can adjust, and that way, if I want to, work over here, I can point the light over here. If I'm working over here, I can extend the light forward, and then I can utilize the light for that. So this can either be a key light or a fill light, and a key light is your main light. Fill light is not as bright and be auxiliary lighting, which right now is what this is. This is my auxiliary light. So, but this is typically my main strongest light source. That's a 200 watt light. That's into a light dome that has one of those grids, waffle or whatever they're called. I don't know what they're called, but that just directs the light. And then behind me, I've got a hair light, which is just a little Invisi G2, which is super nice. It's like a 25 watt, I think, 32 watt RGB light that I always keep on daylight. And that's kind of like, that'll kind of separate you from your background if you're trying to do a portrait shot. But really, most of the time, I'm just using it to light up my carving. And that's all.
He's just talking about for carving.
Yep.
But I tell you what, I wonder if my wife would let me put that swing arm over top of my lazy boy in the living room. That'd be awesome.
No, and when I'm carving, I have all of these on. All of these are on when I'm working in the shop because, I want to make my carvings look good, just in general. I want to have fill light. So, and I want to not be deceived by the light. A lot of times, when you work in too dark of an environment, and you have one dark, strong light on the top of your carving, it makes it look way more dimensional than it actually is. So,
but I'm not always sitting here at my desk. Like I do sit at my lazy boy and drape a sheet over my lap and whittle right in my lazy boy chair. But that would look hideous, but it would be awesome.
It would. Doesn't look cool, but does the job. So.
Timothy Wagner says, I remember Doug commenting in the past how he has a thing for rulers. I do. Doug and Alec, what are your favorite measuring tools?
Oh. Yeah, you go first.
I'll go first, yep. So, let's just say, money aside, because these are the most silly purchases.
Yep.
But they make me happy. So, this one here is from Chestnut, and that's just more like a caliper type.
Yeah.
But it's brass, right?
So
that's kind of fun. I like to use that one. But what people have been seeing lately and commenting on lately the most is this one. This is my little Veritas. And what I like about it is it just goes against a piece of wood because it's got a little lip.
Oh, that is nice.
Really nice. And I don't carve much. Square. Yeah, I don't carve much over that size anyway, so I don't need a big rule. Right. But if I did want a bigger rule, then again, I have, who makes this? I think this was Veritas too. It was the old wooden ruler with the brass ends.
Wow.
But that's brand new. It's from Lee Valley.
That's nice.
But while we're on it, there's all kinds of little crazy things you can get. Like, I do like these little squares too.
Yep. Oh, okay.
Same as this too.
Oh.
They're all Veritas, and like I said, you don't need these. This is a total waste of money. I even like this little thing, the little block one.
Move it over more. Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Little block, just for little measurements.
Wow.
But yeah.
Huh. Yeah, those are neat. I don't have any mini squares or anything in that realm, but that's nice to have if you're doing things where that's required. And the measuring thing, for sure. When I'm in the shop, a ruler is great to have. This is tool number one. But probably what I use even more often than that is these are called dividers, and these are just cheap Harbor Freight dividers. You can adjust them with a screw. Yep, that's exactly. Is that a compass or is that? Yeah, there's a divider. Yep.
They're dividers. Yeah.
And you can get some that are adjustable, like Doug's, that always have tension on them, and you can force them apart, and they'll hold their shape.
Yeah, you just kind of tighten as you want the tension. Like it's good enough that I don't have to ever.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So that's an easier route. These are just cheap, and you can get different types. I have a pair, thanks to Kira Levy. She gave me the one that I use most often are neither of these. They're wood. She made them from ash, and they're really large. They open up to like.
Oh yeah.
And I love those. Yep. Those are dividers. There's a compass.
This is a compass. That's a big old compass.
Yep. Yeah.
Again, but this is all you need. The little cheap ones.
Yep.
Even these are expensive. These big steel ones, like crazy.
Yep. So
I think we did it.
I think that's it.
I think we did it. Well, let me show you one more thing while we're at it. Is that if I can turn this around? How do I do that again? I always forget. I don't think I can. Well, anyway, I always fasten antique rulers on everything too. I got them all over my shop. It's old antique yardsticks from farm shows and stuff, and this is the old Acme made in Canada school one with this. But I have them mounted all over the place around here. I just collect old rulers and.
You do have a thing for old rulers.
I do. I have them all over the place. Even the. Oh boy. The old tapered ones too.
Oh, that's cool.
I always, if I see them, I grab them all the time. All right. Did you ever see this thing? I had to move it. My Wimmy stick. You ever see that?
No, what is that?
I have a video on it, but basically it's by using the notches.
Yeah.
It makes it turn.
Yeah, that's cool.
But if you don't tell the truth, like if I say Alec kisses his carvings, it changes direction. See that? It goes the opposite way. But if I say Alec doesn't kiss his carvings, it goes the other way. See that?
Well, it's magic.
It's a lie detector.
Oh, how cool.
So, anyway, the fun of that is that all that, by changing direction, is just by changing where you put your finger on one side as you rub it. And go the other way, you put your finger on the other side.
Wow.
But you can't see that when you're just going like that, right?
My thing, I just want you to. I don't want you to. I keep telling you, don't bring your chapstick, don't bring your lipstick to the shop when you come over and visit, because.
Well, I'm always cleaning them off your carvings before.
No. You kiss those things, and I have to spend 15 minutes with sandpaper wiping it off.
Is that a beeswax finish? No, that's a Lipsol or something like that, isn't it?
Dude, Lipsol is only made in Canada. They don't even sell that here.
Is that true?
Yeah.
It's Burt's Bees chapstick.
Yeah. Damning evidence, everyone.
What finish do you recommend? Well, is she cute? Okay, let's wrap this baby up there because the path. Thanks for hanging out with us this week, folks, and glad we got all caught up with the questions. And again, don't be afraid to email coffeeandcarvingshow@gmail.com if you have any topic ideas or questions.
And folks, don't forget to take your vitamins.